And welcome back, everybody. It is Tuesday, which of course means it's Service Day. That's at least what we call it in German. Sometimes, if you're really serious about the word Dienst, Dienst means service or work, but I prefer service. And you may recall that about 2 weeks ago, I had a gentleman on by the name of Kenneth Gray, and we talked about dominant force, about homeless students, about an agricultural initiative, about being able to sustain yourself and learn how to work, live, and celebrate community, and the various ways in which Kenneth Gray does that with partners all across the globe, also including events that are fundraisers for schools and other locations. So, if you remember all of that, and if you remember all the comments we got, then you know that I just had to bring him back. So, I'm going to bring him in right now. There he is. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. So, we are in a variety of different time zones.
No.
East Coast, US, Europe. So,
Yes.
we cater to all different needs. We always get a number of people also from other parts of the world. We talked last about 2 weeks ago. And I know we've got some other guests that you also wanted to bring to us today. But what has happened in the last 2 weeks? Because you said everything was rolling, everything was developing, and you were just saying, I don't wanna, but didn't have a what has been developing since then?
some things are steady as it goes. I'm in a holding pattern for some things where time is, I guess, on my side because the time is running out. And
Mm,
when time runs out, it gets closer to what it is that I'm trying to do. Only thing new really in the last 2 weeks is really a lot more involvement with my Atlanta project with the new high school combines for high school students, safety
mm,
class, and 7-on-7. So we've submitted that. We're going forward on the 25th of next month down in Manchester High School with ESPN and NFLPA with the future MVP
mm.
hosting it. So it's our launch. We're launching it, and so we're getting calls now from Switzerland, Cameroon, all over the country to want to bring this combine, this safety class around the world to American football. So that's what's been going on so far.
That's amazing.
Hmm.
And since this is a safety class, this is a question from somebody who's not that into sports. I
Hmm.
know every sport is a little different, but
Yes,
safety
it is.
seems to be a universal issue.
It is.
So even though we're talking American football here, which is different from
Mhm.
soccer and basketball and so forth, could this also apply in other locations for other sports?
Yeah, it's more specific. I mean,
Mhm.
we know that in football, the biggest issue right now is concussions,
Yes.
right? And that's not just getting one; it's even living with it years later.
Mhm.
So you're looking at the head trauma, and what a lot of individuals, scientists learn. If you ever saw the movie with Will Smith, they talked about a woodpecker, and they
Yeah.
looked at the brain, and the brain had a slingshot brain where the brain never hit the walls of the skull, where in
Hmm.
human it is slamming against the skull. And that's an impact that if you do that over and over and over, any organ can damage.
Right.
Kidneys, if you hit the kidneys or the lungs or the ribs, you can puncture. So these are vital organs, but with proper understanding and teaching, that's where safety comes in.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm. So boxing,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
that's
I mean,
constant, right?
it's. I'm be very honest with you. Mike Tyson is probably one of the most safest boxers in history. He never got hit. He did a lot of hitting,
Hmm.
but he never really took a lot of punishment.
Right.
Now think about Van Holyfield and some of these other people, Joe Frazier even. They took a lot of
Mhm.
head trauma. But if you don't get hit, that's the safest thing in boxing.
So back to duck. That I can do that. I can
Right.
do that. I'm good at that. I'm fast.
as the best universal way of staying safe, duck.
All right, we'll do that.
Mhm.
Now, you mentioned, of course, your partnerships, ESPN, et
Yes.
cetera, et cetera.
Mhm.
How can people who are not in the area
Mhm.
participate in this collaboration partnership event? Since you said it's a launch, is there any kind of
Yes.
celebration that goes with it?
Well, that's the launch. The launch, we are actually celebrating the young lady, Majesta Jackson, who's actually is the CEO, and I'm the her coach. So I'm the only coach in the country that is running this with her. So I always step back, and it's her
Mhm,
program, it's her vision from her son that's named after her son. So we are moving towards getting the word out. It's the Celebration Bowl with the ESPN. I mean, with ESPN, but it's the HBCU
mhm,
Celebration Bowl. So if you go on the Celebration Bowl ESPN website, I'm quite sure there may be a link starting to link up about our high school safety in the partnership with ESPN. Now, when you're talking about the NFLPA, they probably have it on their website. What we're doing right now, we're in the embryonic stages of really letting it grow. So we're getting
mhm.
a lot of response, but we also want to put up the website. We want to put up everything. So after the launch, we're really going to inundate everybody on how this is going to be done.
Inundate. Okay. Well, it
Yeah,
is something that is needed.
that's
And
right.
what's the date again?
June 25th.
June
Uh,
25th.
June
Okay.
25th. Yep. Down in Atlanta, Georgia. Again, Manchester High School, and we're
Mhm,
inviting out coaches from across the country, colleges to come out, and we're only gonna have 100 kids. So it's a really a invitational launch because
mhm.
we don't want to do 400 or 500 this year, but
Right.
next year we want to not just do one school, we want to do multiple schools all over the country.
Well, I would imagine that if you had like two, three, four, 500 kids, it'd also be a little more difficult to teach it one on one and make sure that it's all understood.
Well, what happens is a lot of this is happening now. You're still dealing
Mhm,
with Nike camps, Under Armour camps, and three, four, 500 kids are still coming out. So
mhm,
it's just scheduling,
mhm,
and timing doesn't take that long. When someone's only running 4 or 5 seconds, they don't take that
mhm.
long.
Absolutely,
You just gotta
absolutely.
you just gotta
Yeah.
keep it moving, right? Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So tell me a little bit more also. You mentioned in a private conversation with me
Mhm.
that you've got this agriculture program which you mentioned on the air, but you also mentioned just now Switzerland and others, and then you said also Germany.
Yes.
So there, that piqued my
Yeah.
interest, of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah. Of course.
So you're reaching out globally. What do people ask you, or how do they want to participate?
First thing, you know how I am. I never ask for anything, but I show a lot.
Yes.
When I show my press kit, when I show my proposals, people read it and they want to, and they instantly get interested because of what they're reading.
Hmm.
Because it explains something that a little bit better than maybe I couldn't was just through the words, and I forget something sometimes.
Hmm.
But when they see that, then they want to know how can we do it where they are.
Hmm. Hmm.
And Germany is not off the table; it's on the table. We
Right.
just need to, just like anything else, we want to. It'd be like a virus. Let it once it's in the system, let it go. But it's a good virus. So
Hmm.
you have names that sometimes sounds like they're negative. No, they're not.
Right.
Blame. Like I say, I blame my mother for keeping me off drugs. No, those things are
Hmm.
good. It's the intent of how you use it. So
Right.
yes, we're coming to Germany, and I had a gentleman who came home after 30 years. He lives in Germany. He married a German woman. Yeah, and he said, "Hey, I'm in Germany. What can I do to help? I see you all the time." I'm thinking, look, there's a young lady we need to get you connected with over there
Hmm.
and talk about bringing what you and I already talked about,
Right.
this agriculture program, the sports program, because I'm universal. I
Hmm.
go wherever the need is.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And everywhere there's a need, especially, as an educator, I
Yes.
always think about the
Yeah.
kids first.
That's right.
And I know that when you and I first met, it started out really more with the focus on the students, on the educational system. And I do want to bring back the memory of some of the things we shared last time,
Yeah.
that we did first connect on the idea of students, homeless students.
Hmm.
And of course, a lot of them are um, disabled. A lot of them
Yes.
have have now doubled up, as this statistic shows, and we could inundate, to use your terminology, of course, the stream with all of these dates. But since we're talking educators,
Right.
there is a young lady who I'm going to bring in right now as well. She
Mhm.
can't be on the camera, but you'll get an idea of her power regardless of whether you see her face or not. Okay.
Right.
And her name is Dr. Gretchen Jones Torbert. So I'm going to
Yeah.
bring her in. There she is.
Yes.
Hello,
Hey,
Great to you.
Dr.
Thank
Gretchen.
you. Thank
my
you.
friend, my friend.
Good to see you both. Thank you.
All right.
It is so good to see you again. I know it's been a while. I do
Yes,
just want to
ma'am.
briefly mention to the audience that Dr. Gretchen is not, quote unquote, just an educator. She also connects with educators across the world. Teachers across the world is one of the many, many things that she does. And literally across the world. And somehow, and they can tell the story in a moment, Dr. Gretchen and Dr. Gray, I'm going to now have to do like Dr. Kenneth and Dr. Gretchen, they connected and they are partners, collaborators. Both of them, as you know, are humanitarians, volunteering a lot. So, would you share, and I'm going to ask Dr. Gretchen, would you share how you met Dominant Force and Kenneth?
Oh, awesome. It was a couple of years ago. We was able to connect through one of our conferences for teachers across the world, which we had our local conference, which is Teachers of Atlanta. And during that time, we was able to honor Dr. Kenneth Gray at that time and allow him to have access to the platform and to give back to our community during that time. So it was a really awesome experience, not only for myself, but also the educators that came to the conference for Teachers of Atlanta, held out at Stonecrest at the Hilton Garden Inn. And so we were just really excited about that experience and to hear what he was doing in the community around that time period.
Awesome. And I think, Kenneth was like showing the hands. It looked like six, but, he
Six
was moving
years.
them. So
6 years.
6 years. Wow.
Yeah,
six
6 years ago.
years. Wow.
Yeah.
So
Uh-huh.
talk about 6 years. Dr. Gretchen, just for a little side note, which is one of the most important side notes we're going to have on the show today. Teachers across America, teachers across the world. What is that? What does it stand for? What's your mission and why do you care about it?
Well, we incorporated Teachers Across the World actually 8 years ago to help bring educators together as a hub to provide resources, a chance for them to show their skills, to equip them with professional development opportunities, leadership opportunities, and a platform to discuss some of the pervasive issues that are happening in the community. We were looking at the holistic needs of the educators across the world, and also educational professionals within the arena as well that work outside of the classroom. Just a chance to connect on all levels and not only to focus on the educational needs, but personal needs, mental health care, self-care, financial needs, housing needs as well, and even opportunities to advance their education to new levels. And so when the development of it took place, we said we needed to have ongoing conferences throughout the year where there was many symposiums or either opportunities to have the full-fledged conferences twice a year for the teachers and the educational professionals for a chance to collaborate and work together to address some of the pervasive needs that are happening in the world today. And as we can see, through the course of that period of time, we have endured the pandemic, and now we're dealing with learning loss on some levels and equality and equity on other levels, and even now with the mental health concerns that are happening with students taking other students' lives and these needs not being addressed over a course of period of time. So we're looking at the core issues that are there in education and providing resources, providing educational opportunities, and the most important thing, equipping them so they can have a voice and to be able to work together. And
Mhm.
outside of that, Teachers Across the World has several different chapters, of which currently we're right at 210,
Oh,
chapters that consist of many state chapters, of which the largest is Teachers of Atlanta, and then
mhm.
of course Teachers of Dubai and Teachers of New York, And we're still growing from there and just looking to still just have teachers the opportunity to collaborate, share their opinions, look for solutions, and just so
Mhm.
they can have a network of people of their kind they can come together and grow with.
Mhm. That is, as a teacher, former educator, educator outside the classroom. This one that is so important because not every school offers the same kind of collaborative environment. Now, since we're talking global, and I just had a little image up, but I'm trying to cut off next time the number because you said you're far more than 100 chapters, so that was a little older picture.
Yeah.
But I think you said 202. Did you find that teachers and the way that teachers are being treated or regarded differs in different countries or areas?
Yes, we have recently we've been doing a study with we have teachers of Sydney, Australia, and
Mhm.
teachers of Melbourne, Australia, which both have about 3,000 members. And we're definitely seeing that there's a lot of equity equality differences across the country. And those teachers, their needs are are very much different from here over in the States. There are not a lot of concerns with students who do not want to learn or students who do not have the resources to learn or even dealing with the learning loss. They're dealing with more of trying to have an increased amount of time for learning, finding additional resources. So the needs are complete opposite. And so what we had to do is train some of our volunteers who actually work to post in those various groups to keep their postings a little different. So of course here on the East Coast, there's a lot of concerns with lack of time, lack of resources, lack of support, and even funding and also salary increases. Whereas over in Australia, which is two of our large networks in Melbourne and Sydney, they're dealing with other needs. They're wanting additional resources. They're wanting additional time. There's sufficient pay, and they're able to balance their work life schedule so that they're more happier. So you do see a big difference as we're studying the different groups of what is happening in the various chapters that we have underneath teachers across the world.
Yeah. And then, of course, right now we're also dealing with I'm going to come back to the homelessness students in a second, but especially in the US, of course, there are a number of other items going on that are not necessarily that prevalent in other countries. Thinking about some of the shootings and how teachers mentally have to deal with that. Of course, we have to think about the students, the families, but the teachers, they're right there, and most teachers, most parents, they would of course run to the front and try to protect others. How do you deal with that? So very important work that you're doing, and I want to thank you for that. Now, how do you do a partnership with Kenneth in this?
Well, I definitely let Kenneth answer that one, but we've always been very excited about working with various units in the community, especially someone like Dominic Forrest as himself, because they bring a plethora of knowledge to the table, and their level of expertise has really heightened and helped develop any aspect of what we have to offer for educators. And with his implementation of farm usage as far as food
Mhm,
scarcity, that has been just amazing in itself just to hear it. And so we're really excited about the future opportunities there
mhm,
and the possibilities surrounding that, because there's so many people who are laser focused on certain aspects of education,
mhm,
and we know it's more than just the textbook knowledge of the students. But when you start looking at the Meisner hierarchy of needs of the students, you're looking at various aspects of their learning, and
mhm,
that does include their emotional needs. That does include if they have food and clothing, even their social needs of having other individuals to support them. It's a holistic approach to education. So we're really excited about this opportunity, a partnership, and just
mhm.
looking forward to grow from there.
Awesome. And Kenneth, you want to add anything to that? Because she said you would add more.
Well, it seems like I'm always the glue or starting something, right? Um, well, for me, when I met with Dr. Gretchen, um, I didn't know she knew I was out there when I got to Atlanta. And a lot of times people see the things that I'm doing that I don't pay attention to because I'm not one of those people who are worried about and looking for any reward for what I do. It's just what I
Hmm.
do. But it also has a lot to do from about where I came from and how I grew up. I'm also an insider to the school system, to the board of education, or to the education system of Department of Education. As a football coach, that's an extension along with the teachers. So we have to
Hmm.
work closely together about our behavior of our kids. And if I am not in the school system, I count on these teachers to tell me if my kids are acting a fool or an idiot, and I don't need that on my team, or I
Right.
deal with it accordingly. So the parents, the teachers, and the coach. But I have so much power that a lot of times these teachers don't get.
Hmm.
And because they don't get them, and some of the parents, I was
Hmm.
able to use this platform to do uh, uh, agriculture science. And I'm not an agriculture guy. I'm a
Right.
sports guy. And what God does is He puts things on your heart sometimes for a need. And
Hmm.
I saw a need, and Dr. Britt and I, we got together, like I said to you, and we sat down and with a 3 page to a 12 page, and then we came up with a curriculum. Now it is more timely now for us to get what we're doing in our school system because of Ukraine, the
Hmm.
shortages of baby food on the shelves. Wait a minute, when I was a kid, we didn't have baby food. Nothing happened to me, but we had a garden.
Yes.
Okay? And why have gardens gone out of the window versus, well, treaties and business? Well, we don't need business. We need food. And we need to get back to the basics. And with the teachers of the world at the time was just Atlanta. Okay. It was just Atlanta. Now 202 chapters. Well, with what I'm partnered with Dr. Gretchen is let's get this not just the rewards for the teachers in which they deserve, not only the fundraising which every school is looking for, but now we have a curriculum where we can actually teach kids how to grow and fend for themselves when the borders close down, when COVID hits, when the schools are closed and there's only 2 meals that they have and they don't have access to it. They can go to the garden.
Right. Yeah.
That's the partnership, but the partnership here is still wide open. We'll work on how we can get it into the 202 chapters, and then
Hmm.
look at the need because every school may not need it,
Right.
but the ones that really needs it it's global.
Yeah. Well, I would argue that probably every school needs it because it's not
Absolutely.
just the as we talked last time, it's not just planting things. It's
No,
understanding the whole process all the way from the planting. And
exactly.
I like we say, I don't have a green thumb at all. So, I can plant whatever and then I pray over it because otherwise forget about it. But then there are others who can actually help with
Mhm.
setting up the cart to go to the market,
Yeah.
setting the prices. So it
Yes.
goes over there.
Yes.
And it's really holistically, not just agriculture, not just sustaining yourself. It's also understanding all the other aspects, whether it's bartering, putting a
Yes.
value on your
Yes.
work, putting a value on things. And in that, I do have another question for Dr. Gretchen, real quick, because this is just, a fluid conversation. But I noticed also, especially when I was living in the US, that there was a huge need to educate our youth in regards to finances so that they don't just, get a credit card or dad and mom pay for everything. There's a little bit of that here, but not as much. And I noticed on your website as well that you have courses that specifically address financial education. Do you see a need for it? How does that tie into anything that I just mentioned?
Most definitely. We do offer not only financial education, but we do further that in depth of that umbrella, looking at the stocks and the cryptos and helping students to
Mhm.
understand not only how to budget, but giving them a life plan, helping them deal with regular needs, whether it's learning how to maintenance your car, keeping note of that, even
Mhm.
your personal hygiene. But we do get into the financial aspect of living because most of our students go off to college and they're heavily inundated with opportunities to get credit card debt. And so we look to help them to understand the differences between good and bad debt, the importance of establishing good credit, because no credit is not good at all. And then also teaching them now what's going on with the cryptos and the coins to
Mhm.
help them to start their investment opportunities as well. And we help them set up with checking accounts and savings accounts, and then also teaching them how to become entrepreneurs, realizing that not all students will actually go off to college or trade school, but just helping them to become well-rounded, to take their innate skills or things of interest and then using that to make build money. And so we start at the age of 8. We do have various platforms that we work
Mhm.
together with in other organizations like Boys and Girls Club as well, and the
Mhm.
YMCA and organization groups too. But we just look to take the knowledge that we're receiving, whether it's through our nonprofit or these for-profit opportunities, and then help those students become very much well-rounded citizens, because they're going to become, these progressive adults very soon, and wanting to make sure they're equipped to do so.
Yeah. Awesome. And of course, that fits with, yeah, go ahead, Ken.
No, I'm saying that's awesome because
Yeah.
every time I hear her speak, I see how the homeless, that's my charitable side,
Mhm.
can always benefit because we're dealing with mandated law. They
Mhm.
must go to school up to a certain age. So if we're not set up for them going forward and going out, that's on us.
Mhm.
Because some of these kids, they just looking for true leadership and the discipline. And
Right.
if they don't have it, I mean, we're at the end of the day, we're children until we become young adults.
Yeah.
So if the adults fail the children and the young adults, that's on us. It's direct reflection on us. And the good news is, Dr. Gretchen is also an author.
Mhm.
She's
Mhm.
authored over 80 books. She
Yes.
told me, and I told her 6 years ago, I need to write a book. She said, just start writing.
Mhm.
Just 2 days ago, I picked that pen up and I could not stop writing. I've already done 20 pages, right? Already.
Wow,
Awesome.
congratulations.
Wait, wait,
That's
Yay.
awesome.
and I have a deadline of finishing by June 4th for the 12th year of my mother's passing to get this done about my mother and my brothers. And it's
Oh,
will be done,
wow.
and I will send it down to you, Dr. Gretchen.
That is so awesome. Congratulations.
6 years. It took me 6 years
Congratulations.
to get to this point. But
That's
it
still
has to
fine.
be
That's
when
congratulations.
yeah, it has to be when God is ready for me. When I started writing, I mean, I couldn't stop.
Mhm.
Wow.
So that's also new, but also has a lot to do with the inspiration of Dr. Gretchen,
Mhm.
you, Natalie, all the people I've partnered with across. Because I can't do this by myself.
Right.
Just because it's dominant force, that doesn't mean it's just me. It's all of you. I can't do
Yeah.
it without you.
Yeah. And I do want to pick up on the book writing, because Dr. Gretchen has not just written books herself. She also helps others,
Yeah,
especially, of course, in the educational field, but
yeah.
in general. So there is something important as a human being to share your message, because there are others who need to hear it. And so, I'm not sure if there is another collaborative book coming out right now, Dr. Gretchen, but I know that you have done a number of those. And
Mhm.
of course, also the one book that stuck out at me from the website was Dallas, What is for Dinner? Um,
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. And we do we meet, especially within the profession, you often meet teachers who have a book, but we do look to underneath from a publishing company, which is Salad House Publishing, look to support any individual who looking to write a book and helping them to start and finish that project. So it is a beautiful experience. So we're always available to do that as well.
yeah. And it is important in so many ways, because some of the topics that I saw there, or when I talk to my clients and we talk about publishing a book, a lot of people hold back because of the writing. But
Right.
nowadays, there are so many other ways in which you can write a book. I mean, you can talk into your phone, you can have an
Right.
MP3 player. I'm always like, no, 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 just when you take a, well, like, I think best when I take a walk. So I'm like, take your MP3 player or your phone and record. You can transcribe it later.
Yes, that is true. You could definitely do that. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why, because not everybody likes to write or is as patient as Kenneth and says, okay, whenever it's time, it's time.
6 years of patience.
Yeah. Dr. Gretchen, is your a conference still coming up? I believe it was scheduled for June 18th. Is that still going to go live?
Well, actually, we're looking to do it in August.
Okay.
Instead, we just it was able to partner with the Founder School in Atlanta, Ferguson Founder School in
Yeah.
Atlanta, and so they have a huge edifice, and so we're going to look to have that organization there and have the conference there as well because we was able to get 16 classrooms to utilize, so that way we can break off into different pods to support the teachers at their needs. So
Yes.
we'll be in August, and we're going to actually start publicizing that. And I'm definitely looking for you guys to, to join in if because we're going to have the virtual aspect because not everybody's ready to get out into the scene, and
Right.
definitely have the in person. Just looking to just support back and help teachers to reach their goals as well.
What's the
Yeah.
date on that? Do you know the date on that?
We are finalizing that date. We have a meeting the end of this week to finalize the date. We just signed up on a partnership with the Ferguson School. So we definitely know that August was a more feasible time, and the teachers are right back into the schooling situation and needing that motivation just to get the year going. So we're going to do it in August.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'll be in August. I'll be in Atlanta in August. That's why I wanted to know.
Oh,
Yeah, we got Morehouse. We got
awesome.
Morehouse College, and we're presenting
Oh, wow.
presidential awards to a lot of the old civil rights leaders that never received any accolades about what they've done to change this
Okay,
country.
hold on a second. Hold on a
Wow.
second with that. You got like mention that not in a side note. So the conference has been rescheduled. That's important because it looked as if it was mostly still virtual, but with things changing. So August is when the teachers across the world are going to have their live and virtual conference in Atlanta and across the globe. And hopefully Dr. Kenneth Gray will be there. And then now we're switching topics. We got to alert people to switch topics. And before we switch topics, so stay tuned, I have to put in just a little break. So this is perfect. So I'm going to put in just a teeny tiny break for everybody. Don't go anywhere. Just grab something to drink, water, just water, and we'll be right back.
Welcome to the Los Angeles Tribune page. Here you will find original news programming, exclusive digital events, and shows that are directly from the community. At the Los Angeles Tribune, we believe in giving a voice to the voiceless. We are proud to be the only national brand to empower everyday people to make a difference. Since 1886, our reputation has been built on truth and responsibility. Thank you for watching and making a difference.
For general inquiries, contact today. Thank you on behalf of the Los Angeles Tribune team.
And of course, that was the perfect little break moment because now Kenneth can tell us about what he's doing when it comes to awards and civil rights leaders that have never gotten an award. Talk to us, please.
Yeah, so I have aligned with a young lady. She started, this is her launch for her company. It's called Premier Coalition Association. And what she has done is she's a authorized, a certified agent for the Joe Biden presidential awards. And what she's done is she's gone back and researched so many people of this civil rights movement from the 50s, 60s, 70s, who's never been honored for the works they've done to change this country for many reasons. So Morehouse College has allowed us to come down and present these big name athletes, individuals. And it's going to be from athletics through civil rights activists, you name it. It's going to all be there. And it's going to be internationally broadcast through Morehouse College. And that's in August, I think August 26th that I'll be down there. So
awesome. So I can participate in that virtually as well. See, I don't even have to fly in. I can just participate like this.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Yeah.
And that is so important because when we look, okay, I'm going to be a teacher for a second. When we look at that phase or any phase in US or world history, there are always those silent ones who work for a goal, who pursue a mission. They're not necessarily doing it for the awards, for the acclaim, for the
Right.
fame. They're just doing it because they believe in it. And we often forget many of them
Hmm.
because they're not in the limelight. They're not giving
Hmm.
interviews.
Hmm.
And so I think this is really needed and amazing.
Hmm.
Having studied and having taught that time period, there are a lot who deserve recognition, and even sometimes their families. I wonder though, in that, because everybody likes to be recognized differently, right? That goes for individuals regardless of what they do. Have you or has your partner come across the fact that some may not want to be present and receive anything?
Yes, I know a lot of people who just didn't want to be a part, but
Hmm.
they deserved it.
Hmm.
Now, you can send it to them because it's, I mean, once I nominate someone or someone nominate them, it's a free program. It's free for them. So what happens is we just look at their work and their body of work and their bios, and after 4,000 hours of lifetime, come on, that's nothing for a lifetime for a lot of people. So
Right.
something like this for the teachers. When you said that, I immediately
Yeah.
thought about the teachers who don't get the write-ups, who
Hmm.
every day have to go into that classroom and deal with different personalities year in, year out for sometimes 30, 40 years.
Hmm.
That's the ones that need to be rewarded with these types of awards. And that's why the partnership with Dr. Gretchen, it's very easy to allow us to have this part of your award ceremony, Dr.
Hmm.
Because all I have to do is say, hey, I want to nominate you, and you can now take it and have it part of what you do. So
Hmm.
that's the great part about volunteerism.
Hmm.
And, I just enjoy giving back.
Hmm.
I mean, it's just who I am. It's my nature, I guess.
Well, service, and it is Service Day, and as you say, teachers do that anyhow.
Yes.
Um, I I remember when I first started business, it was really hard to put a price tag on what I
Mhm.
do. I don't know if
Yes.
Dr. Gretchen has dealt with that too, or when she
Yes.
teaches budgeting and all of that, because as a teacher, whether you're by profession a teacher or by heart, as a teacher, it's really difficult to stop sharing the knowledge or stop volunteering or stop partnering with others. It's really difficult. And then having to put a price on it is not easy. While it also shows you how valuable who you are is. And I think that's partly, to me at least, that's the message that you're sending, Kenneth, but also Dr. Gretchen is sending when she focuses on the teachers, when she awards them, when we just recognize the work that they do, because it does seem that a lot of places it's not necessarily done. Yeah,
Right. Right.
I think.
Well, now, I'm not sure if that was directed to me or Dr. Gretchen, um, but what I will say is um, service. I
Mhm,
mean, it comes in so many different forms.
mhm,
When you're looking for something from what you're doing, then I don't think that's service. I just think that's a
yeah,
trade.
yes.
It's like in business, with me being in business for as a personal trainer for 21 years. Every
Mhm,
person I deal with is like I'm like a bounty hunter. They have a price tag on their head,
right.
right? And then I have to know who's really worth more.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
Trying to do a service that everyone should be able to take advantage of, but yet you're talking about finances and so on. So, and Dr. Gretchen is good at that. So we're gonna punt that down to her. Come on, talk to us, Dr. Gretchen.
Well, I mean, and I agree with you. You really have to survey the needs. I think that's the foundation to it. As I was mentioned earlier, everyone's needs are very vast, and to try to figure out what are the major concerns. Even in the local communities, you have one school that you have more of a need of, whether it's economic or social emotional needs, or then you have another school where it's more or less food scarcity or even resources that need to be available. And as you can see, which is where I'm based in Atlanta, we have a growing concern of, a lot of old buildings, and then a lot of mental health concerns, and then you're dealing with a lot of top heavy issues within the county office of various schools. And so unfortunately that trickles down into the needs of the students. So in looking at these financial needs, which can ultimately have a concern with how students are being fed and the resources and the volunteers and the support that they have at home, along with the enrichment services that they need to further their education. This is not only us now educating the students, but we also end up having to educate the parents as well and get the community involved too.
Mm. And you just mentioned educating the parents.
Mhm.
And of course, that to me partially goes back to agricultural initiative, but it's in general, if you've never been taught how to deal with money, you can't teach your children. So
Right.
it is really holistically, starting with the children, with the young ones, has a reason because having worked in a community college, they then teach the rest of their family members.
Mhm.
So there's a reason why starting with the younger ones is really important. And there was something else that I was thinking about while you were talking about the Gretchen, and it completely just left my brain. So I'm not going to go there even because I don't remember what that was, but it'll come back to me. But in all of that, when we're looking at money, I know, Kenneth, you also through Dominant Force, you offer workshops, you offer summer camps, in addition to everything else that you do. And of course, Dr. Gretchen also offers those kinds of activities. How do people who are in a precarious financial situation are able to afford them? And I'm not saying that they are expensive. They're not. What you're offering is not expensive, but thinking about homeless people, homeless students, homeless parents, how are we able to get those into these camps as well?
Well, we just had a camp this past Saturday, my
Hmm.
second camp with State Farm and the NFL PA former players, and it's free. And we're at a community that cannot afford probably to even give kids breakfast in the morning. So what we've done is I partnered with Jersey Mike's. I partnered with State Farm. I've partnered with other groups out there to help offset the costs: water, food, sometimes equipment, footballs, and everything. We have everything we need. Now, I said this to a friend of mine the other day. I said, "Free runs out quick.
Yes.
Free runs out very fast." People think free is, well, it's free. No, there's a process to everything. Because if I cannot help you because I don't have the resources, because you don't have the resources, right? So there's also the other side. Well, there are
Hmm.
camps that I do that has a cost. So you take from, there's a financial part of,
Hmm.
don't spend it all. Don't eat the whole apple. Just eat half of the apple. You still have some apple. You just didn't eat the whole thing. So this
Hmm.
other half can go to someone who doesn't have food. There's your donations. There's your volunteerism. There's your humanitarianism. There's your, even your meal. It's
Hmm.
all linked. What happens is we're so caught up into our individual areas that we forget that there's, without that, you don't even exist.
Hmm.
So it's very easy to do. You just have to have a plan for it. And I've planned out for every scenario because as a coach, that's what we do. We on paper we're undefeated. There's no coach in this land on any sport who's losing on their playbook, because the playbook is just a design, a blueprint,
Hmm.
and we're happy with it until we meet the Dallas Cowboys or the Lakers, and we're thinking, "Oh hell, what just happened?" Well, are we playing or we quitting? Well, there's no quitting us. We just have to be better than us. Okay, we beat the Cowboys, right? That's
Right.
how it goes. And I hope that's like that with the teachers as well. It's because it's all interconnected.
Mhm. And I have of course seen that on her website there are also corporate sponsors. So I think that is the way to go because corporate sponsors, whether they're the big headquarter offices or the smaller local offices, they
Sure.
care too. I remember doing an event one time, and we asked, not doing a commercial, but we asked a bakery that's very well known, a chain, a franchise chain in the US. We asked them if they could provide just a little bit of food. We were doing a service project, and they said, of course. It was just the local franchise, but they care about the community. So
Sure.
I think if we're more open to really talking to one another, then it's
Mhm.
going to be so much easier. As you've said before, hello, Pankaj. Good to see you. That's one of my favorite. Hello, I'm waving to you. I don't know if you can see me. He is out in California as well.
Mhm.
So there are many ways in which we can collaborate.
Mhm.
Thinking about the next steps, we know that everything develops in divine timing with the guidance. And Kenneth, you're just open to whatever happens next. But you
Yeah.
just mentioned the playbook. You
Yeah.
just mentioned the playbook, and you knew I was going to pick up on that. So, what is your goal for 2022 and 2023?
Well, let me first go back and say the corporate sponsors and other folks, but the person who goes in their pocket
Hmm.
and then dig deep and give because it's from them.
Hmm.
That one is different from the corporate sponsors
Yes.
because when someone writes you something out of their bank account because of the work that you're doing, wow. So it's all out there. But the
Hmm.
playbook is really already written. It's an endless playbook for me because there's no end chapter to my playbook. We just continue to add as things as the needs happen. So to go from Mead Matters, one school, to the liaison to one county, to the state of helping homelessness, right? And now possibly cross the seas to Germany and so on. So see how that one that's ongoing. Um, what I would like to do is do more of the signature, my signature fundraisers for schools. I've already spoken to the individuals last week about moving forward to probably doing 10 more of those Beat the Pro um, signature programs just this year in this region. As far as the agriculture science initiative, we need it in every school now. Period. There's no time to waste because we're going hungrier. Kids are becoming more. We were made to go outside. Everyone is staying inside. They're playing their games. We need to get away from that. We need to get back to the basics of what God has allowed us to do to exist on this land. We have to go back to the basic, dealing in the dirt. And that's how I am. I want that agriculture science initiative program in every aspect, every school, every community, every organization I can get it into. That's
Mhm. Absolutely. And I think that it's not just a plan, but it is already on the road, on track to
that
get
is.
there, because
Mhm.
you get all of these people reaching out to you.
Mhm.
And the fundraisers, of course, they're important as well for the different organizations that you work with. I
Mhm.
personally, I love corporate sponsors. I have to say that.
Well, I do
But
too.
I also have to say that I always feel if you give of yourself, because there are lots of people. I want to encourage everybody right now. This is like a call to action. Okay. I want to
Mhm.
encourage everybody. You don't have to have money to help. You don't have to help money to volunteer. I used to do programs with my students and they thought they couldn't do anything. And we participated in a reading program in Baltimore. So they had to go to school and read to kids who were a little behind in their reading skills.
Mhm.
They realize the gifts that they have. So, yes, on the one hand, money is needed always for these types of events, for these types of initiatives.
Right.
On the other hand, we also need people who care and who are willing to give of themselves.
Yep.
So I wanted to throw that in. Dr. Gretchen, what is your plan, your hope, your goal for teachers across the world for this year? Like December 31st, 2022, where are you going to be with teachers across the world?
Well, I'm glad that you asked that. We're definitely looking to develop more of our West Coast in the USA. We're heavily inundated with on the East Coast, so participation. So definitely looking to develop within the United States more of the West Coast area and getting those teachers involved in those various chapters. So we're really excited about that, and then do some studies as a result of that to see the needs across the country as it relates to the participation involved. And so our 5-year goal looks like having the entire world involved in that. We, as a visual within our corporate office, we have a lot of globes and maps everywhere, but that's just writing the vision, based on Habakkuk 2:2. But getting down to the nitty gritty of it, we're just looking at focusing on the USA, on the West Coast, of expanding those various groups from teachers of Washington, Montana, Idaho, Oregon, California, Nevada, Utah, Arizona, Colorado, and New Mexico. And then from there, grow in collaboration across the East Coast too.
All right. So did you notice what she did? She said, well, by the end of the year, but our 5-year plan. So putting it out there, I love it. I love it. And in that 5-year plan, definitely include Germany. Just putting it out there.
Most definitely.
I mean, that's where I am now. And there is a need. I think I mentioned it last time to you, maybe, Kenneth. One of the things that I saw very early on after returning was a middle-aged lady actually trying to educate kids in a southern part of the region and their parents on how to eat healthy, even on a low budget. And she was one of those volunteers. She put her own time in it. She showed them how to cook. She showed them how to purchase things and maneuvering the different attitudes about, well, if I don't buy this food right now, then my kid's going to be really upset because they love it, versus what is a little healthier. And one of the things, of course, in all of that is, you mentioned it's playing online games or being online or being inside. And we know what that does to the skin and the whole system. That's why so many people need to take more supplements and vitamin D, because they don't see the sun ever. But in addition to that, there seems to be a complication of the idea of pulling people away from the computer. Right. And the complication or the challenge is, we're on the computer right now. Right. And every event, if you want to be global, has to be partially online. So how can we help ourselves and students and teachers and volunteers, and with your fundraising events, what can we do to encourage more outdoors? I mean, my kids usually outdoors. We just spend a week on a remote stable. So right. We were outdoors. Well, what can you do?
Well, it's consistency first. You take the school class day. It's a consistent every day. And we used to have gym every day. Remember? So within the 6 periods, one period was activity. Whether we wanted it or not, it was part of it. So at home, we need to come up with a home schedule. Okay, some of these games are babysitting services. They use these games because they know they don't have someone to watch their child, but they know they're in that room playing the games and they're not going to move. That's wrong. Okay, but then you ask them to go out and play and they think, well, what's play? What are you talking about? And when you take them to a field, like, I don't know what to do. And then asthma, okay, you're asthmatic because your lungs are not conditioned to move.
To breathe, yes.
So you're not going to get any air in, but that's on the family. That's on the structure, because we have more people, but less people working together. The family, you don't even use the word. Is the family day is the biggest joke that I've ever seen today. You need to get back to true family. Once you do that, you put schedules together for how I'm eating, when it's supper time. See, anybody can eat at any time of the day now. When I grew up, there was supper time. That means if you were not at that table, you didn't eat.
Ooh.
That was the law. Today, I can go to McDonald's 24 hours. What I need supper for. Okay, we're out of order. We're just plain out of order. Schedule. Like you said a week ago, you and your daughter. Well, what are you going to do next week? Is it going to be the same thing or the same thing? And if you did that for 52 weeks, you know you're doing the same thing consistently. That's what it's about, consistency.
Yeah. We do have a pretty busy schedule. Yeah. We don't necessarily schedule dinner as a time,
right?
But we always have dinner together.
Right.
So we always have dinner together because that's family time, and it is important to be outdoors. I mean, I can see a huge impact. In the U.S., we had a house and we were able to be in the backyard, but it was not the same because in suburbia there are not a lot of kids. So here she can go outside. I mean, it's literally outside the house, and we don't drive by car to school.
And another major point is kids do not earn money.
Yeah.
They do not shop. They do not cook, and they don't tell you what to eat. You tell them what to eat. So it's on the parent of how healthy those kids are going, because it's about an example. Apple doesn't fall far from the tree. If you're not eating healthy, they're not going to eat healthy. Now, here's another thing about storybooks. I love stories. Jack and the Beanstalk is one of my favorite stories. Well, those magic beans just grew. And you want the cheapest amount of food is get some seeds, plant the seeds, and watch them grow constantly. You only have to buy one bag of seeds. You have to keep going back to the grocery store.
Right.
They will continue to grow until the season say it's time to stop. That's cheap.
Yes. I will disagree on one thing with you, though, and that's the cooking. Because I do and did teach my daughter to cook, because I believe there are too many people who don't know how to cook. So she'll actually make her own. I mean, I'll be like around. You know? And now she started eating eggs even. So I mean, she can actually cook. While I just saw a statistic about that, and this is related to teaching as well, that over 50% of people in the U.S. don't like or cannot cook, and over 70% of the younger generation can't cook, which to me was staggering. I have not looked up the data for Europe. I will have to do that so I can legitimately compare. But I remember it used to be, I mean, way back when, there actually used to be cooking in school.
Home economics. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to say this very quick, because it's not a quick thing. Take your fast food stores and close them down. Kill that access. I guarantee you they'll learn to cook, because that's what's made us lazy, is when someone is cooking for us. Gretchen, Dr. Gretchen, on you.
Yes. How do we teach them?
And it's unfortunate that, you know, we did used to have those home economic courses available. I know that in some rural areas they still have it, but those life skills are so important.
Very important.
Yes, because students need to know more than just the basal and more than just traditional education. They need those skills to help them to become productive citizens. And so I like the non-traditional school settings as well that we've come across, like the micro schools, co-op schools, homeschooling situations, where parents are more or less looking outside the traditional 7 to 3 o'clock educational setting, and more or less looking at the needs of the students. You know, sometimes we call it Montessori schooling settings as well. Just having those opportunities where students are able to learn what they want to know. And then you're able to, within that, employ what is needed for them to know in moving forward. I think too, parents or guardians or even volunteers, as it relates to the home setting, need to make every situation, as you kind of allude to, as a learning opportunity, and definitely have that within a scheduled format. I do agree with you. Now, with everything being a microwave, readily available society, we've moved past that quite a bit, and there's a lot of structure that is missing. And so to be able to have those non-traditional, traditional formats within a home setting does help the students to know that the importance of structure, so they can be able to learn those life skills and know how important it is to make them very much ready for the adult society as well.
Sure. Yeah.
And I do want to just turn it a little bit. I agree with everything, and of course it is, in the end, it is in the hands of the parents. I do want to point out, and I'm just going to claim that I'm speaking for both of you. You can shoot me down later. But I do want to point out to all the parents who may be listening to this, we are not negatively blaming you, especially if you're trying to hold 2, 3, 4 jobs to provide for your family. That is not what we're saying. We're just saying we all need to come together and learn. And so if your child has the opportunity to learn this, they will be able to help you. And we do know that fast food is a lot cheaper than buying the food. And if you're tired after work it is there's been studies about it. If you're tired after work, we understand. So let's bring the family together and let everybody have a part in that. It is really about coming back together, as Kenneth was saying. So we are out of time, but is there anything, any last? No, I shouldn't put it like that. Is there any final message you'd like for the audience to take out of this long conversation about a variety of really, really important issues? I'm going to start with you, Kenneth.
Oh, I was going to start with the ladies first, but
No. I want to have the teacher last.
Okay. Oh, teacher. Well, what I'll say to everyone, again, this is not a knock on anything. I just think we just need to get back to true order. What does that mean? Dr. Forrest always said, you have to ask for what you want, Kenny. If you don't ask, how do we know what you need? Well, sometimes the family structure is just asking me to sacrifice to help you to get where we need to be. Sacrifice. And that's where I grew up on my grandmother and my mother. They sacrificed for me to be here today and to do what I'm doing. And if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't know what to do. So we family have to get back to family. And what does that mean? I guess we have to kind of figure that out today.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you so much. And Dr. Gretchen.
Yes, I'm just so excited about the opportunity first to be here and then to connect with you guys like-minded and the information that has been available and brought forth to the audience. I do think that the structure of the family, whether it's traditional family or makeshift family or whatever one deems to be family for them, whether it's biological or not, I do think it starts there, and it starts with having those open conversations and dialogues to see what the needs are, and that stems across the board. So thank you so much, Dr. Forrest and Dr. Gray, just for the opportunity to be on.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both, not just for being here and taking 1 hour out of your very busy day and sharing really, really important information, but also for the work that you do. It is work. Even though it's service and it's heart-based, it is still a lot of work, a lot of hours every day. So please, after the show, go into the Los Angeles Tribune Facebook page, go to our LinkedIn page, and share your information. Not your private numbers, I keep telling Kenneth that, but the websites and the dates once they are out, so that people can join in and support. Okay. Thank you both so much. Really appreciate it. Everybody else, I think I'll see you next week. Bye.
Thank you.